Yuuichi and Ayanokoji, two characters from different realms of fiction, embodying unique approaches to manipulation and strategy. Yuichi's con face is about building elaborate facades, creating emotional connections to manipulate others. He weaves stories, masks invulnerabilities, and creates distractions, all while maintaining a friendly, trustworthy persona. This approach is dynamic, engaging, and often emotionally charged. In contrast, Ayanokoji's poker face represents stoicism and emotional detachment. His method involves observation and strategic planning, keeping emotions and intentions concealed. Ayanokoji's strength lies in the ability to remain unreadable and calm under pressure. He manipulates by controlling information and staying several steps ahead of his peers. While Yuichi's con face thrives in emotional manipulation and elaborate schemes, Ayanokoji's poker face is about control, calculation, and an unyielding facade. Both methods, though different in execution, are similar in their ultimate goal: to guide and influence outcomes according to their plans. Today I'll teach you how to master both. And don't worry, I've seen all the other videos on this subject and they're all trash. Let me teach you guys some real shit that is not some generic information. To master the poker face like Ayanokoji, you need to understand that its power relies on the context in which you're using it. Have a strong awareness of your environment. Analyze the situation, and then decide if a poker face will benefit you. The key is understanding when and where to use it. Fully embody the poker face. Step 1 is emotional control. So this is a side effect of overcoming adversity in life. As human beings, pain and challenge force us to grow. By finding ways to overcome life's difficulties, you develop strong emotional control. Many people try to emulate Ayanokoji's cool demeanor without having gone through any real pain or tribulations. In contrast, Ayanokoji's poker face was forged through constant exposure to adversity in the right room. So now let's talk about the first real method into mastering your poker face. So this is the concept of progressive overload and changing your baseline. Having a poker face is essentially the ability to not be faced in tough/normal situations. The only way you can do that is by facing extreme adversity on a daily basis, and normal and tough situations are below your baseline of something you get faced by. So that may sound like a bit complicated, but let me explain it. So let's just say your baseline of something you get faced by right now is if someone starts yelling at you very loudly or someone suddenly throws a punch at you, and that would crack your poker face. But since Ayanokoji fought 50 plus pro fighters in the white room, some puny punch wouldn't really make a flinch in like the classroom of the elite if like Ryuin threw a punch at him. Now I'm not saying that you have to fight 50 pro fighters, but I mean push yourself in being extreme scenarios every day. So normally hard situations that people are like usually think are hard or nothing to you. So for example, let's say you start sparring with your friends once a week for a couple of months. By then you have experienced the feeling of someone throwing a punch at you more than 99% of the population. Hence, if someone were to throw a punch at you, you wouldn't really flinch, or personally I wouldn't. So understand this concept and do everything according to this. But yeah, let's move on to the next step. So the last method that will help you never crack your poker face is visualization. Every day before you sleep, visualize the day tomorrow and everything you will do tomorrow. All the possible negative outcomes and all the possible positive outcomes. But this is legit what Napoleon and Alexander the Great used to do before they went out to the battlefield. They would imagine the fight in 1,000 different ways, and 1,000 different ways they would use to win. Hence, when they stepped onto the battlefield, it looked like they experienced the same fight 1,000 times before, and they were legit unfazed. So if you were to do this into your daily life, which is basically a battle, you'll basically be unfazed.
Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet, and he stands there, unfazed!
Alright, so now that we have the poker face taken care of, let's move to the con face. To master Yuichi's con face technique, first you need to craft a compelling persona that is trustworthy and relatable. This involves creating a backstory that resonates emotionally with your audience. Make them more likely to empathize with you. Next, focus on strategic misdirection. Use your words and actions to subtly shift attention and suspicion away from you. Build alliances by connecting with influential individuals and gaining their trust. This helps in creating a support network that can defend you if needed. Yuichi's faces are usually a direct representation of what the person believes it should be. So when some dude always thinks he corners Yuichi actually plays into it but inside he knows it's like GG. So the con face is basically the opposite of the poker face. It's basically proving to your opponent that they won, but in fact that you had something else like a trump card planned. So in the end, mastering Yuichi's con face is about convincing others of a reality you've created, thereby controlling the narrative and ultimately the outcome. To master the con face like Yuichi is about becoming hyper aware and knowledgeable. And a lot of people think that manipulation is some next level Ayanokoji Johann Lieber shit, but it's mostly because the author specifically creates scenarios where the character can use certain tactics, so it's not really how it seems it is. So I'll just leave a list of things that you need to complete to fully master the poker face and con face. So study human nature, understand psychology, understand non-verbal cues like body language, emotional intelligence, charisma and talking skills, study persuasion, and observing and adapting. So I made a video, I don't know if it's out yet or like it's gonna be out, but there's a video called How 14 to 16 year olds Can Manipulate. It's like a full guide where I actually go in depth and teach you how to learn all the things I just listed. So watch that video. You might have already watched it, but that's where I teach people how to actually learn these skills. So now let's go over scenarios where you can actually use this. Okay, now I'm going to talk about ideal situations where you should use the Yuichi's con face. So you should use them in networking events and negotiations, because you want to be showing your emotional side and be building trust and having a positive impression. If you just have like a blank face on the whole time, like you're not going to build any friends. So when to not use the con face is long-term relationships, because over time your facade can crumble, so you just want to be a normal person by then. So now let's talk about when you should use the poker face. So competitive environments. So in scenarios like corporate boardrooms or strategic planning where revealing is less beneficial, Ayanokoji's style is like pretty decent. Crisis management. So in high pressure like situations, like if you're in a special forces, army, police officer, or like you're with like a bunch of people and like something like a fire's happening, you don't want to be like, oh my god, like Yuichi. You want to have a poker face. You want to be like, oh, there's nothing. So when you should not use the poker face, so during team building activities, like you want to be a friend. You don't want to be a guy who's fucking a loner, who's just like trying to be like a Sigma Wolf guy. You want to like show some emotion. Counseling or mentoring. In roles that require emotional openness and understanding, an impassive facade will like create barriers. So at the end of the day, become knowledgeable, become aware, and then use these things in appropriate situations. If you use them during the wrong situations, you're just gonna be brain dead and basically stupid. So that's all for today's video. Peace on the street.